Some time ago I showed you basic tools and materials I use in my studio. It's time to go a little bit more advanced, and I want to show you today some more advanced, unusual or even strange tools I use working with Urushi. And it connects with a giveaway organized more or less a week ago on Instagram, where I showed some of them, most of them actually, and asked you to guess or to find out what are they and what I'm using them for. I will show them in exactly the same order as on my Instagram posts, and I will try to explain what are they and how I use them. There were a lot of good answers, but none of the people answering got everything right, but some were really close, and many of you even tried to name the tools properly. I will skip the Japanese names because they do not make a lot of sense. The more important thing is how those items are used and how I use them. Let's start with probably one of the simplest ones, but you try to find many different uses for it. It's a tube wringer. Urushi is precious, and I need to extract every little bit from a tube, and as much as I can. So I use it to extract the tubes. You can use it in the kitchen for other tubes or even for a toothpaste, but I use it for Urushi. In some cases, I even split open the tube and scrape the traces of Urushi from inside and from the crevices, just to make sure I use all of it. Next one was also pretty easy. It's a masking tape. This is a masking tape with rubber glue, so not artificial glue, leaving no residue or easy to remove residue. This one is 1.5 millimeter wide. I use it, for example, for masking the rings on Mont Blanc 149 when I lacquer it. I have one even thinner, 1 millimeter wide, and a lot of different widths to use. Some of them are paper. I use some made from elastic plastic tape, and I can shape them in more interesting ways in some cases. Next one was controversial, and I didn't expect that, but it was difficult. It's a piece of sea foam, and it can be used for many different things, but I use it for different kawari-nuri techniques. I apply thickened urushi with it. I dab it in urushi and then apply it with this sponge. Why? Because it is pretty strong. It does not leave residue if it's cleaned properly. It's pretty strong, and it's not uniform. It generates a chaotic pattern, and however I place it at a different angle, it changes the pattern slightly. So that's it. I use it for kawari-nuri techniques. Next one was also difficult. I think no one guessed exactly what's that, because it's not a Japanese tool. This knife is a Korean knife, and it's normally used, it's a scraper technically, but it's used with Raden, especially Raden cut into thin stripes. You put it on the object you're gluing them in with some layer of urushi, and you strike it to break pieces of these Raden stripes and place them on the surface. I use it for many different things, for cutting in Raden too, also before applying it on the pens. I use it to split very small pieces of shell. I use it to cut threads in some techniques when I use silk threading on the pen. So pretty universal knife. It looks DIY, because technically it is DIY. It's a piece of blade inserted into wooden dowel and wrapped in some cord lacquered with Urushi just to make it solid and have a sure grip. It's just one bevel side, easy to sharpen, easy to use. Next one was obvious, almost everyone got it. It's a hake. This one is very small. I like this one because I can use it in small spaces. I can lacquer inside the bowl with it, for example, or grip it very close and be very precise with it. I use hake for lacquering, obviously, but I also use some basic hake for dusting and for cleaning threads. There are some types of hake made of different hair, for example, horsehair, much stiffer than human hair, which are normally used in hake, and it's used, for example, for Tamenuri. But I discussed hake extensively in the previous videos. Next one was strange, but most of you got it pretty good. It's a tool for mixing pigments with lacquer. You use it on a glass plate, it's glass, you mix pigments with Urushi, and then with this movement you mix it together very well. You can achieve really good results with this small tool at home, even with small amounts of Urushi. I have another one, much bigger than this. Here it is. And this one I use rarely, because I use it when I mix at least 50 grams of Urushi and pigments together. So, next one was funny, because I'm not allergic to Urushi, so I do not need to use gloves for anything else than keeping my hands clean. But it goes both ways. So I want to keep my hands clean, but I also want and need to keep the surface of the pen clean. So I use it just for my fingers. Sometimes just one finger, sometimes two, sometimes more. And I use it for maki-e, I use it for applying Raden, because it allows me to have one finger on the surface of the pen with another tool working in Raden placement. So very useful small gizmo, and I have a lot of them. Next one is multiple tool, because these are stackable sieves. I have 20 of them in different grids, from I'd say 8 to 350 grit, so I can separate particles from like 2 millimeters diameter down to 1/800th of a millimeter, I think, or even 600ths of a millimeter. You can stack them. So, for example, when I grind kanshitsufun, so dried urushi, then ground into powder to use in ishime-ji technique, I stack several of them in order from the biggest one to the smallest one, and just shake them to separate different fractions of the powder into different levels of those sieves. Same is done with Raden, so I can crush shell and separate it into different grids, and they can be used, but to be frank, I use a little bigger ones for this, for tonoko, jinoko, and other powders like this, when I want to make sure there are no larger pieces, larger particles in the mix. So, just the sieves. I think I bought them directly from China. They were like 7 times cheaper than buying on Amazon. Next one is a special brush. You had a lot of different ideas what this brush is for, but this brush works in connection with another tool I showed on on my Instagram post, and I will get back to it in a minute. I think one person maybe got it right, but I will show it in a minute. Another one is another DIY tool. It's just a piece of bamboo, lacquered obviously, with a needle placed on one end. I have a lot of them, different lengths, different stiffness, different diameters of the needle, with blunt tip or with very sharp tip, and they are extremely universal. You can pick the stuff from the surface with it. You can place or change the position of the Raden pieces. You can remove something from some contaminants from the Urushi. You can pierce something. You can pierce. You can clean the threads. You can make sure that Urushi gets into some crevices or small places, or you can protect them. You can place the needle in, lock around, wait a moment, withdraw it. So very universal tool. It's just a needle. I will accept any answer because all probably are good. And then I showed just two of those tools, two of different kind, bamboo and aluminium. And these are tubes for sprinkling different types of powders, mostly in maki-e techniques, but not only. Also, it can be used for Raden or for ishime-ji techniques and some other. They range from super fine, so the grit is like 350, up to very large sieves at the end. So technically it's a sieve, but in the form of a tube. So I can put the powder inside, keep it in my hand, and with this movement I can sprinkle the surface with what's inside. Changing the angle, I keep it, changes the amount and the surface area of the sieve which is working at the moment. So it takes some practice to use it, even this movement, but it's indispensable tool when you're working with Urushi. Another one was very difficult for you. I think one person got it right, and it's just a punch. I cut round pieces of Raden with it. For example, this is a piece of turban snail. It should be wet, but I just wanted to show you how it works. And here it is. Very small circle of mother of pearl. I hope you can see it. It's really, really small. Not sure about the sharpness. Yeah. I have different diameters. This one is 2 mm, the smallest one I have is 1 mm, but I also use a different tool for the same job. This is a slightly different one with cone shape, but for some work I need to use even more advanced tools. This one is Japanese tool, empty inside, so it cuts. The shell must be softened before using it. To soften it, you can keep it in warm water for some time, and you can cut with the circular motion. This one will crush because it's not softened. And another one is the tool known for people working with leather, rotating cutter. So same idea as the one here, in many different sizes, but it rotates on its own. So works like this. The piece stays inside, and you can work much faster with this type, but not with all kinds of materials. Accidentally I showed you some other advanced tools. Advanced tool, a hammer. I use it for cutting Raden, but I also use it for cleaning fresh cut hake, because hake comes uncut, or when you use the portion of the hair is used out, you cut it and then you soften it using the hammer too. And another tool is of course the cutting mat. I use it for cutting Raden, for protection, many different stuff. Next tool generated a lot of problems. It's bamboo traditional gold leaf cutting knife. I don't use it too much because I use European style metal knife, but I wanted to check if you can find it. It's for cutting gold, and some people got it right. Okay, next tool was really well known to people who work with leather because it's a skiving knife. It's Japanese leather skiving knife. Skiving is like making thinner, especially at the edges. I use it to cut Raden. And you could probably see this tool on videos from other Urushi craftsmen working with Raden, and it's quite popular. It comes with several different widths of the blade, and I think it's the best tool for the job. It requires some practice. The great thing is that with some practice you can apply pressure evenly along the whole blade and cut pieces like 5 or even 6 centimeters long, so 2 inches long, without problems. Next one. This was difficult for you because it's pretty rare tool. It's used on dozuri stage, so on polishing, sanding and polishing stage, on structured, textured surfaces. Dozuri is not a problem, sanding and polishing is not a problem on flat surface. You can use sanding block, you can use sanwa whetstone, you can use sandpaper, but if the surface is not flat, it's textured on purpose, but you still want to get a gloss out of it, you need to be creative, and this tool is for that. It's just a bunch of horsehair joined together with just a wrap. You apply a polishing paste, or either traditional one of the dozuri powders, so dozuri powders, dozuriko, or filtered tonoko, or sieved tonoko, or sumiko, so the carbon powder. Mix it with water or oil, you apply on the surface, and you can see that there is a residue of the paste I have not removed yet. You can polish surfaces which are not flat. So this is it. You can use it for some types of Raden techniques to polish between the pieces of Raden. And the last tool I showed in my Instagram post is another sieve, but this sieve is a special one because you use it with this brush. I will show you how. Gold leaf, or silver leaf, or platinum leaf. You put inside this cylinder. It's paper, but the outside and the inside is covered with tin, which protects from static electricity buildup, which is super important with metal leaves, which are super light and very easy to be attracted by static electricity. Then you use this brush to sprinkle the leaf in the form of very small flakes. In this case, very small, because it's the smallest size, but you can make them bigger. So you can usually sprinkle it directly on the surface of the of the surface of wet urushi, it sticks to the surface. So it's another form used in maki-e and some other techniques. I have all sizes, so from fine flakes to much bigger ones. They can be used as a sieve for other things, but this is what I use them for. And these two tools go together. And one more tool you could probably see me using probably a lot is this one, headband. I think even if you have a 20/20 vision, it's really difficult to place 1 millimeter diameter circles of mother of pearl precisely in a grid which aligns along the pen and around the pen, and the circles are oriented in the same direction in terms of the how they reflect the light. Using the headband is the only solution I can think of. The important thing, I have a few of them with different focal length and with different distance from the object. So I use this one for Raden, and the distance it works properly at is more or less this one. Like here, it's like 15 centimeters maybe. I have stronger, which I need to use much closer, and I have one on order with even longer distance and smaller diopter amount. This one has additional magnification for spots, so I need, for example, to check something in a very tight and very small area. I can use additional magnification. This one is Optivisor. I think they are probably the best I have used. I haven't used all of them, but I used like at least 5 different. So it's Optivisor from Donegan. I just wish they were easier available in Europe, because they are like hit and miss. Sometimes they are easy to buy, sometimes not. No affiliation with Donegan, but it's around 100 euro, I think, between 70 maybe and 100, something like this. They have exchangeable lenses, and the lenses are very high quality. I think that's it. I showed you some unusual and advanced tools I use, and at the same time this video is the answer to the giveaway and the quiz I made on Instagram, so you can confirm or be surprised how good or how bad your answers were. That's it. You were guests of Tamenuri Studio. I'm Michael, and see you next time soon.